in this situation, I think it's important to have patience and to take the right risk. And you know very well that every one of us would like to pick the best, no, the best players, the best start 11. But at the same time, you have to understand that they need a bit of time to have a good form, to be fit, and don't risk an injury. Otherwise, it will be a disaster.
Yeah, Jurgen is an incredible player. So, but for players underrated, I don't know, honestly, or under the radar, why you always ask me that? Because they are not on my radar. So if people do that, how can I change that? Jurgen is an exceptional player. Mo is an exceptional player. By the way, Sadio Mane plays really, really good in the moment. It's just unlucky in the last moments, like yesterday, it would have been a penalty. He tries to stay on his feet, and then Mo can finish it off. It's great. But all these boys, they have incredible quality. That's why they come in these positions. That's why they come in these situations. And Jurgen has developed in the last few months a proper killer instinct. That's true. So he's there he's there in the moments. He's in the right spaces. He brings himself in good positions. I think his link-up play, especially on this half left with Sadio, is exceptional. So I really like watching it, and he's still young, and there's still really a lot to come for him. But it's already good, so good for us.
Well, that 3-1 victory over Newcastle in the Premier League for Liverpool was only last night. It's a quick turnaround, isn't it? 6 Premier League wins in a row that made it. Mario, what did you make of their performance?
You know what the thing is, I like what Klopp said actually, when he says that his team is playing well and he wants them to keep going regardless of what's going on, because that's the rhythm that they're on right now. He wants to hold on to that. I like the way they play. I always said that, you know, like before I said, if there's any coach that people will say, who do you want to play for? Yeah, then it's someone like him, because he protects his team and makes you a better player, and whatever. I feel like he also allows you to show your creativity. And I think that is what a lot of the players, before what you see them do, they really enjoy it. They come out there, and you cannot achieve things without your coach supporting you. And I think that's what's really happening. Look at this, man. Come on, this guy, he's the answer to everything that I talked about. And then this strike. Come on, guys. I mean, I never hit it like that myself, but I can definitely tell you it feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly was a brilliant goal. Despite going behind early on in the game, Rachel, was there ever any doubt that Liverpool would come back and win that match?
No, none whatsoever. Newcastle have defended awfully pretty much all season, and even since Eddie Howe's come in, he's made a little bit of a difference, and you felt that he was moving in the right direction. That's still their vulnerability, simple as that. And when you've got Liverpool in the stride that they're in and the momentum, they're clearly enjoying everything about playing for Liverpool. They've got the squad depth to be able to deal with, you know, whether it's injuries or COVID related issues. And it's becoming, you know, 2 teams are kind of rising to the top right now, and certain one of those in their stride, Liverpool, are beautiful to watch.
Is that how it feels now, Rafa, after the last couple of weeks that Chelsea have had, that they've sort of dropped off a little bit and it's looking more like it's Man City and Liverpool for the title? Or is it way too early to even start talking about that, especially given the current climate we're in?
Yeah, I wouldn't write Chelsea off just yet. I think they've had a little bit of a wobble, but only because their standards have been so high that a couple of draws feels like a massive setback, and because the others are so consistent. So I think Chelsea is still in it. But Liverpool and City have this sense of inevitability about them. You don't feel that they cannot win a game. I was at Anfield last night, and even though they went behind, I was just thinking, yeah, of course they're going to win. There was just a sense of they'll find a way. And they didn't even play all that well. They had a few moments where Klopp was very upset with lack of concentration at the back, and Thiago had a couple of bad moments for him. But they have the rhythm, they have the flow, they have a very strong team, very few injuries, even with COVID. It's hard to see past them in City at the moment. And
when they are the top goal scorers in the league and they've got this front three, even without Firmino fit, they're just unstoppable, aren't they?
It is because, you know, they create fear for others that play against them. You know, like as a player, when you see the opponent is scoring so comfortably and you know you go on the field, already in the warm-up sometimes, you look at the players, you go like, oh, I'm facing them. So I think that's what they create. They're rising and they're feeling so comfortable. If you look at Mane is not even playing like Salah. Salah is the one that scored so many goals for them. But if you look at it, okay, that's why the crucial situation is going to be what's going to happen when the African nation comes. Because now it's going to be a change for them. And I want to see how Klopp is going to handle that situation, because now it becomes a team that is normally has so many firing forwards, but now you take them away. And now you need someone else to give the answer.
How is that as a defender heading into a match when you know you're up against the best attack in the league?
For me, the best example to call was against Cristiano. So it was kind of funny because, you ladies, like my mom would call me and say, like, one thing you promised me, don't let him have fun and don't let me see the game like he's having fun. So the thing is, when you come on, you just say to yourself, today is going to be my day. You stay as close as you can, knowing that he is so good. Because I think it's always will be a battle between ego and ego. And are you going to chicken in, or are you going to be the guy that's going forward and making sure that he cannot handle you? And I think that's the battle with everybody. And I think that's also what's happening with Liverpool at the moment. People are a little bit worried and give up.
As a goalkeeper, Rachel, when you're heading out onto the pitch, knowing how potent that attack is, and you've got potentially the best player in the world about to face you.
Yeah. It's not just Salah though, is it? It's Mane, it's Diogo Jota, it's Origi when he comes on. Like, there's so many. Trent last night scoring an absolute blinder. Henderson's popping up and scoring. It's literally from anywhere, and it's down both flanks, and then the box is loaded with talent. And if it's not loaded with talent, they'll cut it back to the edge where someone is there. So it's not just one individual. Although Mo Salah is just consistently coming up with tap-ins, worldies, everything in between as well. There's those one-to-one battles where defenders are going to be, either relishing it like you did, or kind of, it's going to be overwhelming for them. But it's not just a one-man band, Liverpool, by any means. I agree, Africa Cup of Nations, when Salah's won't be there, and along with other players, of course, Liverpool will be diminished, but that's not something they've not thought about, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting, Rafa, because we all speak so highly of Mo Salah because we watch him week in, week out in the Premier League. He was 7th on the Ballon d'Or list, and he wasn't even included in the 23-man shortlist for the FIFA FIFPro World 11 just in the last week. Is he going underappreciated for some reason elsewhere? What's that about?
A little bit. I think he's been unlucky because all of these goals came at a point where the voting was already done. The voting finished in October. So I think it would have been a different situation if people see, oh, this guy right now in December is definitely up there with the very best. I think he would have placed a lot higher. And then a lot of the voting is about who do I remember? And because Liverpool didn't win the league and because Egypt didn't win a major trophy, people reach for the easier and more prominent names. And that's why we saw somebody who we've seen win before, called Lionel Messi, winning his 7th Ballon d'Or.
It's a default answer, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, you can't argue with what he's achieved for his country in the last year as well. In terms of consistency levels with Salah, though, Mario, the last few seasons, he's just been quite incredible, and he scored in his last 15 successive games in the Premier League.
You also have to look at his past, right? When he came to Chelsea, I was watching him closely, and then it was kind of slightly different. There was a difficulty. You could see how he was playing, and people said, like, maybe the Premier League is a little step too high for him. And then he goes away, comes back, and look what he brings to us. As a player like him, he's oozed with so much confidence and so much self-belief that it's very difficult to play against him. Even me now talking, I think facing him, you don't know, because he's coming from the opposite side. He goes inside. If you don't get a backup, he goes outside.
Simple as this. He's doing what he thinks of any external rewards. He's answering it with what he's doing on the pitch. It doesn't seem there's that huge ego about Salah. I know Messi's an exception, but some of the other sort of footballers in that list may have had a kind of more outspoken answers really to being omitted from that or being 7th in the list. He's just doing what he's been doing consistently for season after season.
Yeah.
And off the pitch, he's fairly low profile.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. He doesn't.
Hey, he's got a statue in Madame Tussauds now.
Well, yes.
Pretty big
Apart
time,
from
eh?
that, yes.
Mario, I know you loved that Trent goal, so should we have another look at it? Because this is some hit, isn't it?
He's everything what fullbacks are now. You understand? He put that, oh my God. You know, I think he raised the bar. Because people are talking now, yeah, oh, you need to know how to attack, you need to know how to cross the ball, and now you need to score goals. But who started this trend? It was like Robinson, it's one of it too, but he's definitely one of the guys that's doing it. That's why you see with, you know, when he's not playing well, we started to complain, but look what he's doing now.
Yeah, he scores goals. Is his defensive capabilities sometimes put into question, Rachel?
I think that's always people's counter-argument, isn't it? Is, well, he's not that great at defending well. I'm not being funny, if you're part of this Liverpool team, that's not what brings Liverpool as a team success. It's the attacking capabilities to go forwards. As and when they need to defend, they just score more goals than the opposition. I think it's something he'll continue to work on, but really, when you're signing off a game right at the end with a goal like that, who cares whether he's defending or not?
Yeah. In terms of that front three as well, we've seen Jota really step up in the last couple of months in Firmino's absence. How important has he become to Jurgen Klopp, and particularly as the guys are mentioned in January when they may lose some players to the African Cup of Nations? He's going to really be important, isn't he?
Hugely important. I mean, it's hard not to see him on the same level of importance as the other three. He doesn't perhaps quite have the same stature just yet, and he's only been there for 2 years. But if you'd asked me 2 years ago, at the start of the season, who's the one player that can compete with those three, that would complement them and make them a four, I wouldn't have picked Diogo Jota. No. I'm not sure who I'd have picked, because the job is so difficult to keep those three guys on their toes. But he's come in, and from almost the very first moment, it's been an instant success. Gives Klopp's options, he can rotate, he can play him through the middle, left, right, doesn't matter. And it helps the others as well, because they looked a little bit jaded, I think, in the season before that, slightly.
Yeah, OK, well, we know that Liverpool are on fire, and they're up against Tottenham this weekend, who haven't played since December the 5th. How much will this have affected their rhythm?
It's going to be, until it plays out, we don't know, because we don't know who's been affected by COVID. We don't know what states that's left them in with regards to their fitness, physical fitness, their sharpness, how many training sessions have they had on the pitch. So what type of Tottenham is going to show up? Who knows? It's still early days with Conte's implementation of his game plan, and he was still trying to work on that when the break has happened for them. So it's kind of flip a coin, see what Tottenham team shows up, what fitness they're in. But I tell you what, going up against Liverpool, you need to be at full fitness, at full tilt, whoever you are.
Yeah, it might not have been the game they wanted on their return, Mario, but what have you made of Antonio Conte's Spurs from what you've seen so far in the short time?
Look, I saw Conte as a player, I saw him as a manager. There are no big differences in it, because he's always in control, you know, and that's why he's always so calm, because he's in control. When he stands in front of a group, you only have one choice: you either listen to me or you go away. He says that to you. But the thing now is that what Rachel already tapped into, the key thing is, how many games have they played while they were waiting? Because sometimes when you are training is one thing. You get better in training, but it's still the games that makes you get that rhythm that you need to play. And his team hasn't been able to play all the time. And I used to hate it. When I was waiting, like let's say they call a game off, especially it happened when you're an amateur more, but when you're pro, you don't have it that much. But when they call a game off, it's almost like you miss out on something. And I think the rhythm is very, very important for a footballer. And I think that is what his team will struggle with. If they haven't played friendlies, even if it's just no one knows about it, that's good enough.
And I suppose momentum is probably most important for a goal scorer. Once you get one goal, you hope that it kicks you on. And with Harry Kane, we've not seen that yet. When will that happen?
Difficult to say. I mean, not playing doesn't help.
He can't score if he doesn't play.
Trying to score goals. It used to be August, now it's December when he can't play. I think Harry Kane will benefit from the team being a lot more organised and knowing what they're doing. Under Nuno, there was a bit of confusion, and I think he often ended up looking a little bit out of position, not quite sure, am I still a striker, am I number 10? It didn't seem to gel very much. And I think Conte, who has such clearly defined ideas, he will choreograph certain attacking moves. That's what he did with Italy, that's what he did with Chelsea as well. I think Harry Kane will benefit because everyone else will benefit around him. But to go back to your momentum bit, I think talking to Jurgen Klopp after the game last night, he was desperate to play the next game. He knew, we are in form, we have a decent side. Yes, we might get more cases until Sunday, but we have a strong team. Spurs will feel the opposite. And I don't think that Antonio Conte will be desperate to play this game. And I think it's difficult to then motivate your players when they sense, even the coach probably feels this is not the ideal moment to face Liverpool.
And when you look at those numbers, it's the worst record that Harry Kane has had in the Premier League after this many matches, Mario. That's not really what you want heading into the game either, is it?
No, because you're going to have players now that are facing him. That normally, when you play against a Kane, you're worried about it because you have a striker against you. Whatever he strikes at, he hits that post. Every time he strikes, he hits that goal. Now he strikes next to the goal, over. You never see him doing that. You never see him like you're questioning his ability. I've never had a conversation regarding him of questioning how good he is. And now we are thinking like, ooh, what's happening? When is he coming back? What's going on? So I think he's going through the biggest test that he ever had in his career compared to what he normally is used to. And the answer is with himself.
How much do you think confidence is affecting Harry Kane at the moment?
I think we thought he was sort of unflappable and that he couldn't, nothing would affect his confidence because he showed up for England and played really well for England. And that all of how uncertain it was about where he was going to be at the start of this Premier League season, that wouldn't affect him. I think we underestimate as footballers what that does to you because it's not just about you, it's about your family as well and what's going to happen, where are they going to go. And so all of that has taken its toll. Whether this break is going to be a positive thing for Harry Kane, I do agree that Conte there'll be no grey areas as to how Spurs are going to play. And I think that will absolutely benefit Harry Kane in that build-up play. So I was pitch side for the game against Brentford, Tottenham's game against, and there was no uncertainty as to what individuals' roles were because they were being barked at for every single movement. And choreographed, I think, is a really good description with the synchronised movements between Son, between Kane, between Skip just behind as well. All of those movements will be drilled into them. And whether they've had contact time with Conte and the players because of this COVID outbreak or whether it's been done in different ways, I think there'll be bits of paper, on computer screens that Conte will be drilling how he wants his players to be playing. Whether that's enough come match day against Liverpool, still not sure.
Well, is it going to be enough moving forward? Because actually, when you look at the Premier League table, if Tottenham win their 3 games in hand, believe it or not, they're only 3 points behind Chelsea if they win those 3 games. And obviously they have this tough one against Liverpool to begin with.
If they do, yes. But I still think that Antonio Conte looks at this team and think, we can do with a couple of additions. It's a little bit lightweight in certain areas. I need to get more out of these players. I think there is still not a fully formed top forward side here.
What areas do you think particularly?
I think everywhere. I think you look through the 11 and you don't have players who are quite at the level that can mix it up with the best. I mean, we've had a Spurs team now, we were a little bit spoiled by them under Mauricio Pochettino, where the dialogue or the narrative was, can they win a trophy? Because they were finishing second, they were finishing third. And now this is a Spurs team that's trying to get back into the Champions League and has been pretty far off the last couple of years. And I think that is reflected in the squad. They haven't had the opportunity to buy Champions League players because they haven't been in the Champions League.
Do you think Tottenham can get a Champions League place this year? When you see, we've talked so much about the top 3 being Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool, and that 4th place being up for grabs. West Ham have just faltered slightly. Manchester United, we're not really sure what we're going to see under Ralph Rangnick. Arsenal are up there now. Can you see Tottenham fighting for it?
Yes. Why I say that? I understand what Rafa says. It's like we've been waiting for that moment, right? Season's been going after season. But I think also they did the first move, and that's what I believe in. Knowing Conte, the way he is as a coach, I think they made that move already. So that move is already done. Because I felt like they had a team that no one could control. Like after Pochettino, there was like, who's going to control? Who's really going to say, this is how we're going to do it? And I felt like that was really questionable at that side. Now, I feel they have that in place, but the only thing is they're waiting so long to play. And waiting so long to play, there comes a timing. The timing now facing Liverpool, it's a timing when Liverpool is at its best. Have they faced him 2 months ago? Liverpool was looking for something else. They were like, oh, can I get my rhythm back? So now it's like it's a whole different rhythm. So now the only answer he will have now, if he beats Liverpool, believe me, this will give him momentum. But if he doesn't?
Yeah, the one thing we will say, though, is that upset of rhythm can happen to any team at any time in the situation we're in. Where can you see that top four heading? Can you see Tottenham pushing for it?
Well, just to go back, rhythm or no rhythm, I'd have backed Liverpool this season every single time. You look at the squads, comparative squads. I do think bringing Conte in absolutely was the best thing that Spurs could have done, because it just wasn't working under Nuno. You're right, it can happen to any team at any point, and you know, bar any change in scheduling, then you know, Kobe can rise its head anywhere at all.
Yeah.
OK, well, just a bit of news to bring you about a former Tottenham player, Christian Eriksen. Inter Milan have released a statement saying they've agreed to allow him to leave the club. We're yet to hear from Christian Eriksen himself. But, Rafa, what do you think this says about his future?
Well, it's very sad, really. It's sad that he can't continue at Inter. I think they have very strong regulations of what kind of condition you have to be in to be allowed to play for Serie A. And if there is something with heart problems, then I don't think they allow you to play with a pacemaker and this sort of stuff, and it might be easier for him to play somewhere else. But first of all, I think the first reaction is hopefully he's totally fine, totally recovered, and I'm sad I'm not seeing him play for Inter anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. All right, let's move on to the next match now, where Manchester City head to Newcastle on Sunday. Now, Pep Guardiola didn't take his press conference earlier today after he returned an inconclusive coronavirus test result. So let's just hear from the Newcastle boss, Eddie Howe.